definitely one of the most difficult jobs for any head coach or front office to do is cut players for the 53-man roster, because you're cutting a lot of great talent away, and you can't keep everyone, and you just kind of have to pick and choose who you believe is going to be the best option. For example, back in the day, actually, wasn't James Harrison? Yeah, James Harrison was in the Ravens training camp, and then he ended up getting cut because they didn't think he was the best option, and obviously he then goes and becomes a Hall of Famer for the Steelers and also played for us at one point. So it's one of those things, man. It happens, right? You know, you go into the whole situation and you got to cut players. It's not always the easiest thing to do. Now, we're going from 86 players down to 53. So that's 33 players who are getting the boot. Man, let's just get right into it. Rip the Band-Aid off and get right into it. Quarterbacks are going to be Joe Burrow and Jake Browning. This one I don't think is very controversial. I think that this is pretty obvious at this point that these are going to be our two guys moving forward. If a player is injured or out for the year, they're just removed from this list entirely. Just a little side note here, because they're on the IR and they're not going to count toward the roster. So if you wait, where's Cordell Volson? Cordell Volson's out for the year. So there's no point of putting Cordell Volson on this list. Again, if the player's out for the year, it is what it is. The player's not counting. It's not going to hurt us to have him. The running backs, I still think they're going to go with 3 running backs. Obviously, that being Chase Brown, Samaje Perine, and Taj Brooks. For the wide receivers, Jamar Chase, Jermaine Burton, T. Higgins, Chuck Sizzle, Yoshi, and Mitchell Tinsley. Tight ends, Mike Gesicki, Noah Fant, and Drew Sample. Oh, wait, who's that right tackle backup? Tanner Hudson. Yeah, no, obviously he's not a right tackle backup, but at this point, he does everything possible to make the roster. So I'm going to have Tanner Hudson make the roster because he does everything possible. Now, this is the odd man out. Tanner McLaughlin. If he hits free agency or the practice squad, I think he'll be picked up instantly. He will. It's one of those things where he is a very great talent, and he is like a big slot receiver. And at the end of the day, he has the potential to be absolutely amazing. So I think if he is given the shot of hitting the waiver wire, we're going to see him get picked up within seconds. We can't stop that from happening. And, you know, last year we held him on the roster because he was a third-round pick, obviously. It's one of those situations where eventually I feel like you just got to rip off the Band-Aid. If you're not going to utilize the guy because you obviously, already have weapons at those positions, and Tanner McLaughlin is, in theory, just a slot receiver. He's not like a blocker guy. He is just a big slot receiver. You got to eventually just rip the Band-Aid off and say, all right, well, if we're not going to utilize him, we just got to let him go. And again, he'll get picked up within seconds because he has the talent to get picked up within seconds. But, if you're not going to utilize the guy, unless you're going to trade him for like a 7th-round pick, which I would love to see get some value in return, it is what it is. And why did I say he was a 3rd-round pick? He's not a 3rd-round. He wasn't a 3rd-round pick. He was a 6th-round pick. I don't know why my brain said that. But anyway, I think he'll get cut. Officially. 3 right guards. 3 options. 1 quarterback. Joe Shiesty. Our right guard position hasn't been figured out yet. And because of that, we're going to have to just kind of go into the season with 3 right guards. Now, we have a lot of offensive line depth here. Right? We have Devin Cochran. We have Jackson Kirkland. We have Matt Lee I have making the roster. 3 right guards, where Jalen Rivers, obviously, we really need him to. He could play left tackle. He wasn't really good at right tackle. But, Cody Ford's also a Swiss Army knife, too. So, this is a lot of depth. it's a lot of depth, and then obviously, we might end up signing Dalton Risner as well. So I kind of want to put more depth on the offensive line because this is the biggest question mark outside of safety on this team is will this offensive line actually get the job done? Will they be able to handle what we need them to handle, and will they be good enough for us moving forward? So let's talk about defense. Left defensive end, we got Miles Murphy and Shamar Stewart. Left defensive tackle, we got TJ Slayton and we got McKinley Jackson. Right defensive tackle, we have BJ Hill and Chris Jenkins. Only 4 D tackles. Again, I really wanted to keep Holden Cross. There's a couple other guys I wanted to keep, but it just didn't make logical sense given the fact that, we have only 53 men we can keep. And again, I feel like every year I have this struggle when I'm making these. It's like, there's so many players I want to keep, but we can't. So then we got the right defensive end, which is Joseph Asai, Cam Sample, and Trey. Obviously, if Trey doesn't play, then that would just be Joseph Asai and Cam Sample. The wing linebacker, Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter. Middle linebacker, Logan Wilson and Moma Jigmita. And then the sub linebacker, Owen Burks. So, again, linebacking crew. Feel like a very weak position. It always is for us, but I guess we'll see. Now, here's the interesting thing. You see PJ Jules is still in this squad. There's a reason why. Anthony is hurt. He has a hamstring injury. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. Might be short term, might be long term. Bengals might go and pick somebody else up and add him to the roster. They might not. They might try to use a player like PJ Jules to see if he could be the guy. Now, if Anthony is out for a long period of time, I would hope they would go to free agency and pick somebody else up. Or they could potentially, put Anthony on IR, which would free up a roster spot, and then you could go get someone else as well. But at this moment in time, I'm going to put Jules on this roster because if Anthony can't play week 1, you're not going into week 1 with one safety, like a one strong safety. You have to have 2. You have to have rotation. You have to have backups. You can move Dax Hill back to that position, but then you're also making your secondary very weak at the cornerback position. Speaking of the cornerback position, I have 5 total corners that made the roster. Obviously, you got the Cam Taylor-Britt, you got the DJ Turner, you got the Dax Hill, you got the Fig Newton, and then I have Jalen Davis. Now this one, and also Marco Wilson as well, but this one is kind of interesting. I know Jalen Davis didn't have like the best, he didn't have the best season of all time in preseason and training camp, but I think we're going to keep a 5th corner. I don't think we're going to go into the season with 4 corners, especially given the injury history of our corners at this moment in time. I think that we'll probably go with 5. Jalen Davis could be subbed out if we wanted to with a veteran corner if we picked up one. Always a possibility. Special teams, I have Cal as our long snapper. Money Mac, Ryan, Chuck Sizzle, and Jermaine Burton as kick and punt returner. So that's my 53-man roster final predictions. Again, it sucks that there are some positions we did have to kind of get away from and not go for. Like some players we had to cut. I'll be interested to see how they end up working this out. Because, again, this is... I know it's said it already, but it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. Especially when you spend all preseason and training camp with these guys, and then you're like, all right, we have to let this guy go. And then that guy's going to go sign with the Ravens or the Steelers and become the best player in football, and then you look like an idiot. Something like that. Guys, tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. Please like and subscribe button down below. See you guys next one.